Yo, 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 what's happening, y'all? What's happening? What's happening? It's me coming back at you again with another live hangout vid. Oh man, oh man, oh man. We definitely had an interesting weekend of boxing. We didn't have any American cards that was displayed on Saturday, but we did have one particular card that was displayed on Friday evening. That was the women's edition of boxing. Would feature Clarissa Shields versus Hannah Gabriels. Now, both Clarissa Shields and Hannah Gabriels were both former unified champions. Clarissa Shields was a former unified 168-pound super middleweight champion, WBA and IBF. I'm sorry, WBC and IBF. And Hannah Gabriels was the former IBF and WBO super welterweight champion. So Gabriel's moved up in weight. The fight was contested at middleweight, whatnot. So Gabriel's moving up and Shields moving down. So the question was whether Shields was going to be comfortable at that weight, whether it was going to have any effect at was the weight drop going to have any effect with her performance or her ability. So that was the question going in. Now Gabriel's is a very, very, very seasoned pro, very tough, very skilled fighter for Costa Rica. I saw a few of her bouts a few years ago, including the one that took place a couple years back. I think it took actually early, yeah, one bout that happened a couple years back, and then a bout that happened earlier this year, I believe. She had one of her fights against Castillo in Costa Rica, I think. And the first fight, Gabriel's got put down badly. She got knocked out badly by Castillo in the second, third round, I believe. And Castillo is a very heavy-handed individual, and I saw the fight in the rematch where Gabriel's got put down again in the first round by Castillo, but she found her heart, she found her grit, she dig deep as a champion, battled back, and beat Castillo to capture her titles at 154, which was a very good fight, by the way. That happened in Costa Rica. It's a very good fight, and whatnot. So definitely a good matchup for Clarissa. Very, very good test. Going into the fight, of course, Clarissa was probably the slight favorite to win the fight because of the size and, of course, of the skill gap. But, well, not much of a skill gap, but many people felt, including myself, thought she was more skilled, a little bit more skilled than Gabriel's. Sorry, I'm a little distracted there. Yeah, what's going on, Dwayne? Yeah, a long time, man. Yeah, I've been busy, man. Very, very busy outside of this. Uh yeah, Shields did get a little sloppy, a bit sloppy, but that's not the first time. She is accused of being a little bit sloppy with her punches, especially when she swings wildly with them. And the one thing I noticed about Shields is that she doesn't straighten out her shots too much, which I do applaud John David Jackson working with her to do that a bit. Going into this fight, she did start throwing some straight shots. And the one thing I did know is that Shields doesn't throw many body punches either. So that's one thing she's going to need to focus more on. I mean, which I'm going to get to in a second, because going to the fight, whatnot, very competitive first round. It was back and forth. If you were me personally, I had Shields win a round, nicking it until she got knocked down with that uppercut by by Gabriel's in the first round, and that right there, it stung Shields. It did hurt her a bit, got her attention, but obviously that was that would tipped the round over to Gabriel's favor. And the one thing I noticed going to the second round, I mean, Gabriel's and Shields was really loading up on their shots. I mean, Carissa really had some urgency. She started to come at her, started to pressure her, try to smother her. And then one thing I noticed too is that the weight disparity. I mean, many of us thought believe that Shields is going to have the weight advantage over Gabriel's, but look at look at that fight night. I mean, Gabriel's look a lot bigger than Shields, a hell of a lot bigger. And but obviously, that's just from the eye test. But what I noticed when they was wrapping up in the clinches in the inside, it seems like Shields was much stronger than Gabriel's, because it seems like she was more, stronger than jostling for position inside, trying to create some punches and whatnot. It punches in the clinches. So yeah, Dwayne, yeah, Gabriel gassed out because she loaded up in the second round trying to get after the knockdown after she scored the knockdown on Shields. She thought she had her hurt, so she went for it, which is, hey, look, it is what it is. This is boxing. You got to go for it. But I think she realized that she underestimated Shields' um her her ability to recover, because she recovered very quickly from that knockdown. Yeah, she was hurt. Shields was hurt from that knockdown, and she recovered very quickly, kind of similar to how Vander Holyfield has he had very good recuperative powers when he was hurt. He will recover extremely well, and that's what made him so dangerous, and that's what makes Shields so dangerous, because you could get her hurt, but she will recover very quickly from being hurt. So I think Gabriel's went for it. She tried to load up on her shots early on, just like Shields did, but she really gassed out badly. And not only that, she was getting hurt too, and she even admitted that she was getting clubbed. She was getting hurt by those punches by Shields. She admitted that Shields definitely got some power. So yeah, but the thing is too, I noticed that Clarissa kind of gassed out too in the mid rounds as well, trying to get Gabriel's out of there. But the one thing that Clarissa is going to have to learn is that now that she's stepped up in competition with the likes of Gabriel, and soon she's going to be fighting Christina Hammer as soon as that fight gets underway, which is a very good unification bout at middleweight, because that would be for the undisputed middleweight title. Well, I'll get to that in a second. But anyhow, going into the after the first round, I thought that Clarissa swept the remainder of the fight, even though those rounds were very competitive and close. But I thought that I think that Shields pretty much nicked all the other rounds, because I think that Gabriel's just gassed out. She was very tired, and she was getting hurt. She was getting battered. I mean, I know we scored fights on a round by round basis, but she was taking so many heavy shots, and that took a toll on her conditioning as well. And you could tell she was gasping for a lot of air, going back into her corner in between breaks and whatnot. And her face was getting mangled up as well. I mean, that was getting mangled up pretty badly. I mean, but she showed heart. She showed grit. She was very, courteous to the decision. She knew she lost the fight, but she'll definitely be back. I did notice one thing about Gabriel's is that she had an interview with, I think, was it with DEONTAY Boxing Nation, I believe? Yeah, and they were at the Mayweather gym, her husband, because her husband was a fighter as well. And they noticed that they're not going to be, I think she had said something to the effect that they may not be in Costa Rica much longer. They feel that they're going to transition their careers over to America, because they feel they could get more sparring time. They can get more proper training with the best in America, because Costa Rica is not a big boxing capital. So they can't really get much in a way. So I think they're going to more likely relocate to the States, I believe, to resume her career. So, I mean, that would definitely be a good step for Hannah Gabriel. So, definitely she'll be back. She'll be a major player at 160. By the way, I think this would be the weight for her, because 154, she was really killing herself to make that weight. I mean, man, she was really, to my opinion, she was huge for a 154-pound fighter, to be honest with you. And she looked huge. She looked kind of big for being the middleweight, to be honest with you. She looked like a super middleweight in there. A lot bigger than Clarissa Shields. A lot bigger. But that's from the eye test. But in my opinion, yeah, let's see how this happens. Where it goes from where she goes from that point. But anyways, as I mentioned, Shields, in my opinion, yeah, she did sweep the fight after the first round. Again, a lot of close. It was a lot of nick. It was rounds where they were very competitive, but I felt she nicked them all. I just felt that Gabriel just didn't do enough to try to convince me that she was winning the rounds. She didn't. She just didn't have anything left. I mean, she was basically fighting on instinct whenever Clarissa got close to her. That's all it was. So it is what it is, in my opinion. So now that Clarissa Shields is the unified IBF and WBA or WBC and IBF middleweight champion, now the other champion that we have right now is, I think she's the WBA. I know she's the IBF, but all right, anyways, but the other unified champion, who's the WBO and WBC, I believe, that's Christina Hammer. And Christina Hammer actually fought on the undercard of the Shields and Gabriel fight, and she outpointed Tori Wilson. Tori Wilson. Why I'm saying Tori Wilson? This ain't WWE. All right, I meant Tori Nelson. That was Clarissa Shields' last opponent. Somebody gave me a thumbs down. Must be Sean Newton. or the other guy in the UK. But anyways, D Styles got a Trump supporter hack this channel live stream. Hey, yeah, D Style, you gotta deal with these Trump supporters sometimes, man, just like I do. There's just no way, there's no reasoning with those type of that group. But anyways, so we got 2 unified champions at middleweight for the women's boxing division. I know the Christina Hammer, Crystal was asked about Christina Hammer. Then next to Christina Hammer entered the ring, trying to ambush the interview, the post-fight interview, and then there was a melee. I mean, that shit was funny, though. Clarissa was trying to get at Christina Hammer. I mean, that's a fight that definitely, I mean, we talk about super fights in men's boxing a lot. Potential super fights with Crawford, Spence, Wilder, and Ortiz. I'm sorry, not Wilder, Ortiz. Wilder, Joshua Wilder, however you want to explain that. And then, of course, Canelo versus Golovkin. Even though, a lot of people some people may not be tuned into the rematch, but it's still a super fight either way. People still watch it either way. But when you talk about the women's division, that's a super fight between Christina Hammer and Clarissa Shields, and that's a fight that people want to see. And Christina Hammer, a fighter for Germany, a veteran, whatnot, undefeated, very, very good fighter. She uses angles extremely well, got excellent footwork. And I know a lot of people talk about Clarissa Shields' punches being a little bit sloppy. I mean, Christina Hammer, she's more a little bit better technically than Clarissa, but she can get a little sloppy with her punches too, just slightly. But the fact is though, Christina Hammer, I noticed in one of her fights, she was fighting Anna Sophia Mathis, a natural welterweight who brutally knocked out Holly Holm. I remember that. That was a vicious knockdown. She nearly killed Holly Holm. But those of you who don't know who Holly Holm is, she nearly killed Holly Holm in their first fight. Of course, Holly Holm won their rematch. But anyhow, Anna Sophia Mathis hit Christina Hammer with a very vicious right. And Anna Sophia Mathis is a very, very heavy-handed individual. She's a big puncher. And as soon as Christina Hammer felt that power, she got very extra cautious. And then I think there was one instance in that fight where supposedly Christina Hammer got hit in the back of the head. She went down. And a lot of people accused Christina Hammer from faking an injury. And I looked at that again myself, and I thought, I think that Christina was overplaying that a little bit. But it got Anna Sophia Mathis disqualified in that fight. And she kind of pulled the Bernard Hopkins veteran trick right there. No disrespect to B-Hop. I like B-Hop, but come on, man. I had to call it for what it is. I think what Christina Hammer did in that Anna Sophia Mathis fight, she really kind of somewhat faked that injury to get out of that fight. But that's my opinion. But anyways, she's not Christina Hammer is going to be a far different and tougher opponent than Hannah Gabriel's. The reason why I say that, because Hannah Gabriel's will stand and trade with you. And that's what Clarissa wanted. And obviously, Christina Hammer's not going to do that. She's going to give Clarissa a lot of angles. And it's going to be a tough time for Clarissa to deal with it, in my opinion. Now, if I had to favor someone going into that fight, I may have to slightly favor Christina Hammer to beat Clarissa Shields, in my opinion. But, we'll see how things progress down the line. But all I gotta say is that that's a different fighter you're dealing with there. And Christina Hammer, to me, in my opinion, is much more skillful than, well, I say much more. She's more skillful than Hannah Gabriel's, in my opinion. I mean, that's your guys' thoughts on it. Let me know what you think, because I got Christina Hammer winning that unification bout slightly at this point over Clarissa Shields. But we'll see. I'm hoping that Clarissa wins it once they make that fight. Definitely looking forward to that fight. In my opinion, I think that now that you got two of the best middleweights in women's boxing, I think that what's your name, Cecilia Brækhus, she needs to go up to middleweight, because I think that, I mean, she's having trouble making welterweight for a while now, and she looks big for a welterweight. I think she needs to go up to middleweight, because that's a fight that people were talking about for a while now that could happen possibly. I heard that Chris Cyborg may be entering women's boxing too, so that's a rumor mill I've been hearing as well. And they were talking about her facing what's her name, Cecilia Brækhus at welterweight. So I don't know, man, but I think the better fights can be made at middleweight, in my opinion. So we'll see how that plays out. Or maybe that Cecilia Brækhus is waiting for Kaylee Taylor to go up. I don't know, man. She's probably waiting for her to make that big leap from lightweight all the way up to welterweight for a big, big women's fight. I mean, that would be a huge fight between Katie Taylor versus Cecilia Brækhus. But I don't know. But Katie's too small, though, man. I don't know. That weight advantage may be a big problem for her if she were to make that jump to welterweight and skip light welterweight and face Cecilia Brækhus. I mean, that'd be a huge fight. Katie Taylor versus Cecilia Brækhus. I mean, yeah. But again, I'm not sure how long Brækhus can make that weight though. She needs to move up to light middleweight. I don't know. I don't know that there ain't too many fights there that could be made. I mean, there could be a couple fights she could make, but if you want the big money fight, in my opinion, there's Clarissa Shields and there's Christina Hammer. Those are the fights that could be made for Cecilia, to be honest with you. Hey, Ambitious D, what's going on, man? Much respect for St. Petersburg, Florida. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Shout out to St. Petersburg. I like Carissa, but I have to support our American fighters. Right about Brækhus, though. She needs to move up. Yeah, she needs to move up. I mean, she got dropped by what's her name in her last fight on that Golovkin undercard against what you call it, against Vanes Maltarosian. Yeah, whatever. But anyways, yeah, Brækhus got dropped in that fight, and I'm not sure what happened. Maybe to me, in my opinion, she wasn't quite herself in that fight. Maybe because of the time zone differences, or maybe the fact that she had still having trouble making welterweight. I don't know, but it's just to me that she needs to really make that jump because she's too big in my opinion to be that welterweight right now. Yeah, Callie Reese, that's who she got dropped by. Callie Reese, some people felt that Callie Reese won that fight. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see how this plays out. But definitely a lot of good things happening in women's boxing division. And shout out to Ring IQ, by the way, man. I gotta give a shout out to him because he's like the only one who's very consistent about covering women's boxing. And I think everybody should do the same. And I'm gonna have to start doing the same thing too. I'm gonna have to follow his lead because there's a lot of good fights that can be made. They'll be made at women's right now in the women's boxing divisions right now. And it seems like there's like no problem in making those fights happen, obviously because they're not making much money. But the fact is like it's kind of similar to the super flyweights. It's like they can't make much money, but they have no choice but to fight each other because they're, if you want to get paid, you got to make the big fights. I think it should be the same with all the other divisions, in my opinion. Yeah, that was awesome. To Texan, what's going on, man? He said, hey, that was an awesome debate last time. Have you heard any ramblings about a pay-per-view at the end of the year? Do you think Shields and Hammer should be a co-main event on there? Showtime pay-per-view? You know what? That's a good idea. I don't mind seeing that. That could be a co-main event for a pay-per-view. Shields versus Hammer, and then Wilder could be the headliner against Dominic Brazil. I don't mind seeing that. That could happen. Because if you push Clarissa Shields on the undercard, there may be some. I'm not sure how many people may watch, but I know Clarissa Shields got a huge following from Detroit because she's very, very big in Michigan. So maybe you get a lot of people from Detroit is going to tune into that fight, or they'll fly down there to Vegas if the fight gets held there to see her fight. So we'll see. We'll see. I think Hammer and Shields should be a co-main event on the pay-per-view. In my opinion, I think it should. I know people are going to call me crazy for saying that, but I think so because Carissa is very, very popular. She does have a following. Christina Hammer does have a pretty good following in Germany. So you got two women who've got a very, very good following in one in America, and then you have one that's got a following here and got a following in Germany. So that would be interesting fight. And yeah, but we'll see. Yeah, that or there could be Texas say, or that I could be wrong though because Mikey taking on Spence. You know what? I was going to talk about that. Mikey versus Earl Spence Jr. I don't know, man. Mikey is really serious about it too. He's very adamant about it. I got to give props to Mikey, but the problem is that can he handle the weight? Because Earl Spence is a guy, he balloons up to almost goddamn light heavyweight going into his fights. So Mikey, I don't know, man. He probably more likely is going to be a 160 pounds, but I'm not sure he's going to be in the best of shape. He could be in good shape, but the fact is I don't think his power is going to carry up to welterweight. I don't think it's going to bother Spence. I could be wrong, but I don't know, man. I mean, he managed to drop Sergey Lipinets, and Lipinets is an actually bigger man than Mikey Garcia. So I don't know, man. And Lipinets got a very good chin. He got dropped by a guy who's a natural featherweight. So he got hurt by that featherweight. So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't like Mikey's chances in that fight. He could be competitive, but I just don't like it, to be honest with you. Ambitious D says that look, I've been watching women's boxing since Christy Martin, Ann Wolfe, Valerie Manford, Mia St. John, and of course, Layla Ali. Yeah, man. Yeah. Christy Martin wasn't, yeah, she was an animal, man, in the ring back in her day. Well, she was fighting on the Don King undercards. And Don King was like the only promoter that would feature women's boxing. You know, that's another thing about Don King, you got to give him props for. Even though he was an ass when it comes to treating his fighters, when it comes to purses and whatnot, but the dude literally put on some very good cards to feature women on there. You know, Mia St. John, Valerie Manford, Ann Wolfe, Layla Ali. And speaking of that, we did get to see that Ann Wolfe and Layla Ali fight. I mean, that was a fight that everyone wanted to see. And of course, Layla Ali blatantly ducked Ann Wolfe. I mean, that was a blatant duck. Blatantly ducked. And like I said, I criticized Layla Ali on social issues, but as a fighter, she was a very good fighter. But the fact is that she literally kind of was able to dictate her career. I mean, not saying that fighters don't have the liberty to do that. Of course, she had the stature of being an Ali. She had the liberty to do that. So, but look, I wish I would have seen that fight. If I had to pick a winner, I definitely have picked Ann Wolfe because Ann Wolfe was a monster. I mean, she was a brutal monster as a fighter. I mean, she was avoided not only by Layla Ali, she was avoided by a lot of fighters. So let's not let's not get that twisted, man. Man, man, yeah, I don't know, man. Shoot, it is what it is. Uh, anyways, like I said, I can't wait to see that fight happen between Christina Hammer and Clarissa Shields. So I'm definitely picking Hammer to win that fight by slightly at this moment. But like I said, I could change my prediction as that fight does get made down the road. So we'll see. But I don't expect it to happen right away. I mean, if they do make that unification happen right away, I'll be pretty surprised. I think they'll probably get a between Christina Hammer and Clarissa Shields. They're probably going to get an interim fight in between before they eventually meet. So we'll see. Uh, Let me see. Ambitious D says, Mikey will get stopped. The truth. Body punches will slow already slow fighter down. Well, yeah, Mikey's not really a slow fighter. He's just more of a. He's very, very. You can say he's cynical, but he's very, very textbook in a way. He's very clever in the ring. You know, he's got many weapons that he could utilize. He can fight off the back foot. He could come forward. He could box if he has to box. He's very smart. He's got a lot of tricks. But my only thing about Mikey is that I don't know. Will the weight bother him? Would it? How could he break down Spence? I mean, could he? He's going to have to beat Spence down to the body. That's the only way I can see him beating Earl Spence. But we'll see, man. I mean, we haven't seen anybody go down to the body against Spence. I mean, you know what? Kell Brook did go down to the body against Earl Spence. Earl Spence got hurt by some of those body shots by Brook. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, man. As if that could realistically happen. I don't know, man. Let me see. The Texas says I could see it being competitive for the first 5 rounds, but before Earl breaks him down midway. Yeah, I have to see it, man. Here's the difference between Crawford and Garcia. Crawford, in my opinion, is much more faster and has a lot more weapons than Mikey Garcia. And he's got the range. And we see that Crawford's got the power now. He's able to carry his power from lightweight up to welterweight now. And I could see Crawford beating Earl Spence because Crawford will give him all kind of angles. Mikey's not that quick on his feet compared to Terrence Crawford. He could give you some bit of angles, but he's not as quite as fast, and Earl will be able to cut off the ring against him a lot easier compared to Crawford. Crawford is just way too slick. He's very powerful. He's even strong too in the clinches too. He's very creative of creating punches inside the clinches. So that right there would be yeah, that's the difference between Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence matchup opposed to Mikey Garcia versus Earl Spence. Hey, what's going on, Kiwi? Kiwi, the brother from New Zealand, man. It's been too good, man. It's been good. I've been done these live hangouts in a while, so I'm trying to get slowly back into the groove. Let's see. Mikey will get stopped. Well, we already read that already. a clear duck. Ann Wolf would have KO'd her with that right hook. Yeah, man. Ann Wolf would have destroyed Layla Ali. She would have destroyed Layla Ali. Layla Ali knew that. That's why she stood away from the Ann Wolf as far as possible, as far as she could. And I never forgave Layla Ali for blatantly ducking that fight. I mean, I know but they're both retired. They're not going to fight. They're not fighting anymore. But it is what it is. And those who are Layla Ali fans know what really happened in that situation. Let's be realistic, okay? Layla Ali fought, did fight on that pay-per-view fight against Joe Frazier's daughter, whatnot, which is Jackie Frazier, by the way. I mean, pay-per-view fight, but I mean, was Jackie Frazier really that good of a fighter? She was okay, she was all right, but she wasn't really a champion, so let's see what it is. Actually, she was a champion. She was a light heavyweight champion. My bad. Forgot about that. She was a light heavyweight champion, and she lost an 8-round decision to Layla Ali. 8-round. I think it was a knockout. I think she got knocked out in that fight. I think she got stopped by Ali. So, and that was the first fight to ever be headlined on a pay-per-view by women. That was back in 2001. That was 17 years ago. So, yeah. The Texas says that Bud is way too versatile. Yeah. I just don't. I don't trust Mikey's power. Earl will continue to come forward. Yeah, I agree. That's my only concern. Ambitious D. Yes, Mikey has some bit of snap at light welterweight. He was able to put down Lipinets, who's got a good chin, a guy who's very durable, who's a lot bigger than Mikey, natural size and strength wise. Mikey was able to hurt him and put him down. But let's be real, Sergey Lipinets Errol Spence is no Sergey Lipinets. That's a totally different beast right there that Mikey may be dealing with. So I don't know. That would be a damn good fight if they can make that happen. And again, look, like I said, I'm a historian. I'm a guy who's studied the sport for a long time. Great small guys always moved up and fight great, fight very good big men. I mean, look at Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran, who I think he started his career at super featherweight, I believe, but eventually made his career for the most part as a lightweight, one of the greatest, or some would argue universally recognized as the greatest lightweight of all time. I mean, this man fought all the way up to damn super middleweight, and during this time as a great champion Duran was, he was knocking out middleweights, he was knocking out light middleweights, not stopping welterweights. Duran's power carried very well when he was moving up between the weights, and so did Tommy Hearns. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see, man. Mikey's may need I need a preliminary fight at welterweight and see how he has a feel of the weight. We'll see, man. We'll see. The Texas says Spitz versus Mikey at San Antonio, while Santa Cruz versus Russell on the undercard. Hell, I like to see that, man. Santa Cruz versus Russell, a unification bout for the featherweight title. Hell, I want to see that fight. That's a damn good fight right there that can be made. Spencer versus Mikey, that's a super fight in San Antonio. Do it in the Alamo Dome. That will sell out tickets, man. That mean you could get probably 50,000 to come see that fight. In my opinion, you could probably get about between, I would say 35 to 50,000 to kind of to go to the Alamo Dome. Alamo Dome, my bad. That happened. Kiwi says, hey, what do you think about Taylor versus Postal fight, Dan? Do you think the cards were too wide? Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I was going to get into that, Kiwi, in a second. I just wanted to, brush up on the Spence and Mikey thing. Yeah, I think that fight could be made if they were to make that fight, do it in San Antonio. Very good location. Mikey's got a big following in Texas, and so does Errol Spence, obviously, down in Frisco, Texas. I think in Dallas, too. So if you put it in San Antonio, you got people that are going to travel there. So, so I think that would happen. The Texas says that Ambitious D said that I have respect for Mikey. He's looking for legacy fights, but he is knocking on the wrong door. Spence will stop him in 9. Yeah, it's a legacy fight. Yeah, Mikey can get paid pretty well. Mikey doesn't, he can fight anybody and still get paid. That's how he is, because he is a draw. But in this part, he is looking for legacy based off the fact that he's really keen on fighting Errol Spence. So, more so than the money. Gennady Golovkin can take a page from Mikey Garcia's playbook of being a legacy fighter rather than being a money fighter. Look, ain't nothing wrong being a money fighter. This is prize fighting. I get that. But this whole thing, I hate bringing this up, and I'm sorry, Golovkin fans, is that Golovkin did contradict himself when he said that this was all about legacy, not about money. He did say that in an interview with Power 106 here in Los Angeles on a radio interview when he criticized uh, his rival Canelo Alvarez for fighting Amir Khan because he felt that was business rather than legacy. What does he do? He fights fucking Kell Brook, a money fight, not a legacy fight, a money fight. He does that shit. Doesn't want to fight his mandatories. Now all of a sudden he's saying I'm just looking for money fights now. Come on, man. And not saying that Canelo's not a legacy fight. That is a legacy and a money fight. But the fact is that he's now just going for the money fights now. So I mean, come on, seriously. Ah, man. Now, that like again doesn't dismiss Triple G's career. He's had a very good career, but as far as ranking him, which I'm going to get into right now, as far as ranking him with all the other great middleweights, nah. He's not going near Bernard Hopkins. He's certainly not going near Marvin Hagler, and he's certainly not going near Lloyd Marshall, who never was a middleweight champion. Which I'm going to get into right now because I put up a video. I put up a video 3 days ago as offering a new live debate series, episode 2, which are going to feature Gennady Golovkin versus Lloyd Marshall, who will have a better middleweight run. So far, Jeff Boxer, shout out to Jeff, by the way, who's a Golovkin fan, realizes that, you know what, I'm going to defend the greats on this one. So he wants to get in on the debate. He wants to defend Lloyd Marshall versus Triple G. So far, I haven't got nobody who wants to volunteer to stick up for Triple G versus Lloyd Marshall. No one. So I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I know you know people could defend Triple G's record on video uploads. That's fine, but that's totally different from defending him on a video upload versus doing a live debate platform. And no one's willing to do it. I mean, I just don't know what's going on. I mean, are you going to defend Triple G's record or you're not going to do it? Because I'm giving you a chance to do it against a guy named Jeff Boxon. He wants to defend Lloyd Marshall. He's a historian himself. So he wants to defend Lloyd Marshall against Gennady Golovkin, but nobody wants to defend Golovkin on this matter. I mean, what's going on? And I've invited people who I don't like to come defend Golovkin. I'm not going to choose a winner. I'm going to moderate, and I'll let the comment section decide who won the debate. Plain and simple. That's all. But nobody's willing to take up on the offer. So, Jeff, if you're listening, man, it seems like nobody wants to take on the debate between Golovkin versus Lloyd Marshall. No one wants to do it. It's disappointing because we definitely need debates. Despite disagreements, we do need healthy debates. All right? That's what I'm presenting here. But if not, then I'll move forward to the other topic. I'm sure people will probably jump on. Gennady Golovkin versus Marvin Hagler and Bernard Hopkins. Now, Hamed, shout out to Hamed, by the way. He's willing to take on that debate. He's going to defend Hagler and Hopkins versus Triple G. So if anybody wants to get on that one, let me know, because Hamed wants to defend Hopkins and Hagler, and somebody needs to defend Triple G against Marvin Hagler and Hopkins. So let me know if anybody wants to get in that debate topic. Anybody, I don't care who you are. So let me know. All right, overhand, what's going on, man? No, Broner Madonna did not do 30,000, brother. Not even close. Nah, Dan, no one knows Marshall. That's why it's not appealing. Yeah, I hear you, overhand. I hear you, but the problem is that people are walking around saying that Gennady Golovkin is the greatest middleweight of all time. So when people are saying that, I'm giving them a platform opportunity to defend their arguments against an all-time great middleweight in Lloyd Marshall, who's all, Black Murderers Row member, very underrated middleweight. So I want people to come on here and defend that. Kiwi says here, for me, that comparison can't be valid until G's career is over. You know what, Kiwi? You make a good point, but most of us, like myself, pretty much are in a conclusion that Golovkin is almost pretty much at the end of his career, based off what's going on, the fact that he's taken so much damage in his career. He's pretty much indicated that he's at the end. He's trying to look for maybe 1 or 2 more big paydays, and that's it. He's going to call it. He's going to call it quits. So that's the reason why people are kind of discussing his career at this point. But you do bring up a good point. But other than that, before that, people are running around saying that he's the greatest middleweight of all time, which that people do have their opinions. That's fine. But what I don't accept is that they crap on legacy fighters that came before him and make it seem like their careers were meaningless compared to Golovkin's, like Hopkins, Hagler, Monzon. Robinson doesn't really really get talked about in this debate between Triple G and Robinson, but I mean that's no comparison. But I want to, because those names are too common, and that's what I'm trying to address overhand on this one. Those names are too common, so I wanted to pick a name that nobody's too fond of, but someone who's fond of, like Jeff Boxer. He knows Lloyd Marshall's career, so he's willing to defend Lloyd Marshall against Gennady Golovkin. So if anybody wants to defend Golovkin's resume against Lloyd Marshall, I'm giving them an opportunity to do that on my platform. I won't take any sides on this. I promise you. I'm going to have everybody their fair share, like they had on their last debate on my debate platform. Even Low Place, even though Low Place and I disagree with each other a lot, and there's some cases I don't like to do, but he seemed cool for the most part. And I gave him Low Place the opportunity to speak while people try to overtalk him. I given people opportunity to speak while Low Place try to overtalk them. So I'm very fair, even against people, even for people I don't that I don't agree with a lot. So yeah. The Texas says that there's no defending Triple G. I mean, it's gonna fail terribly. Well, I mean, you may never know. Texas people can pull some surprises, man. We'll see. Kiwi Box says fair point. Yeah, man. Middleweight resumes throughout throughout history are pretty thin, in my opinion. Well, you know what, Overhand, you do make some pretty good points on that one, because let's put it this way. If you look at Hagler and Hopkins' careers, right, as middleweights, or even let's look at their careers, right? When they fought in the era, you didn't have like all-time great middleweights fighting in their division, right? At their time. However, you did have very, very good champions, even though those champions like Vito Armofomo, Alan Mentor, and you got gold medalists like Sugar Ray Shields, and this is a Hagler era, by the way. William Monroe Sr., Benny Briscoe, those guys, Mustafa Hamsho, Juan Rodon. Those were very, 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 very good fighters, and they were very dangerous fighters, by the way. Okay, those guys were far more better accomplished. Well, I'm in my, and this is an honest fact, and they were far better than any of the Triple G opponents that Triple G has fought at middleweight. They have. So, but my point is that for Hagler to really, to get those legacy wins, he needed a small, great guy to come up and fight him. And that's Roberto Duran. That's Tommy Hearns. Of course, Sugar Ray Leonard. He beat Hearns. He beat Duran, but he didn't beat Leonard. But the Duran and the Hearns fight solidified Marvin Hagler's legacy as a great middleweight champion. So my point is that great middleweights need great small guys to come up to fight them to solidify their legacies as great middleweight champions. Like Tony Zale needed Rocky Graziano to come up and fight him to solidify his legacy as a great middleweight champion. Harry Greb with Mickey Walker. Mickey Walker moved up to fight Harry Greb. Then you have Jose Napoles move up to fight Carlos Monzon. Emil Griffith, even though he was fighting at middleweight for a while, but he was a naturally small guy. So let's be realistic, Jose Napoles and, Emil Griffith fight Monzon. But let's be fair, though. Monzon did fight an all-time great middleweight champion, Nino Benenuti, too. So he beat him. So there was one guy, Monzon, who he did beat, was a great middleweight. Now, as far as Hopkins is concerned, you have John David Jacksons, the Glenn Johnsons of the world, Simon Browns, who's an actually small guy. You have Keith Holmes, whatnot, all very good middleweight champions and fighters, But the fact is, Hopkins needed a great small guy to come up and fight him to solidify his legacy as a great middleweight champion. You had Felix Trinidad. There you go. Then, of course, you got Oscar De La Hoya. All right. So those two wins right there had solidified Hopkins as a great middleweight champion. Those two wins right there. So, but to your point, Overhead, so that's a good point. You make some good points, but again, to further put it into context, all great middleweights had their careers defined by beating great small men. It's always been that way. And it's kind of laughable to me that all these guys who dismiss Hopkins and Hagler, even Monzon, for fighting great small guys because they go around and say that Triple G's never done that. In reality, he has done that. So he's no different from other middleweights who's fighting small guys to try to solidify whatever legacy they have in middleweight. He's always been doing that, okay? Even though he couldn't get Floyd Mayweather in the ring, he couldn't get Manny Pacquiao in the ring. He wanted those guys in the ring. He wanted Miguel Cotto, a small guy. He wanted Sergio Martinez, a small guy. He got Canelo, eventually, a small guy, even though he didn't win that first fight, but he does get a shot at him in the rematch. So we'll see. But the fact is that even if he beats Canelo, it'll be a very great win, but that will fall short compared to the wins that Hopkins and Hagler, Monzon, Greb, all those guys had, as middleweight champions. It's going to fall short. Even Lloyd Marshall, Ezra Charles. I could go on and on and on. Charlie Burley. Those wins, that Canelo win's not going to top any of those wins that those guys had. That's just me. That's me being a debater. But if anyone to come on here, I'll moderate. I'm not going to pick a winner. I'll let the comment section decide who wins the debate. That's all I'm doing. Let's see here. I picked Monzon to beat B-Hop. March Ambitious D says that actually, before I get into that, I'm sorry. The Texas says true. It's hard to rank some of those high on pound for pound besides Hopkins out of Hagler or Monzon. Yeah. Marshall over Triple G, tougher competition back then. Triple G team clearly navigated around competition. Well, yeah, they did. I mean, that's a fact. They did. They did. They're doing that now, so it is what it is. And, a lot of people are going to say, well, Sergey Deverchenko don't deserve a shot. He's not a legacy fight. We all know he's not a legacy fight, but the fact is, as a great champion, that is a mandatory challenger. And as a champion, you got to get your mandatory challengers out the way. And Golovkin didn't do that. Hopkins did that. Hagler did that to some degree, but of course, Hagler at the end of his career decided to look for that big money fight, and that was against Sugar Ray Leonard. And of course, the sanctioning bodies were not pleased that he wanted to fight Leonard, but with the exception of the WBC. So they stripped Hagler. The WBA stripped him and the IBF stripped him. But I know the IBF stripped him because of that Leonard fight. They said they would not. What do you know? The IBF being consistent at that time. They told Hagler, you better not fight Leonard, otherwise we're going to strip you. So they did. The WBA stripped him because they said that, well, Hagler never fulfilled his commitment to fight a sanctioned opponent of ours within the year. So he failed to do that. So, yeah, so two different scenarios why he got stripped. But he was already said that I'm at the end of my career. I need one more fight. That's it. I'm done. But Triple G, he's probably, we argue that he may be at the end, but at the same time, he's not quite at the end of his career like Marvin Hagler is. He's probably looking for maybe a couple more money fights. You got Canelo, then you got Mariota, then probably that's about it. He's probably done after those fights. He's probably done. So, there's a little bit of a difference between the two. But as far as Hopkins is concerned, he's fought all his fucking mandatories. He beat all of them. So, there's a difference right there. Let me see, though. A good middleweight, I can't argue with that. Monzon would be hell. Ambitious D, I agree, Roscoe. Stop style would not work against Monzon. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point because Monzon was very good at cut off the ring. He had a pistol left jab. His jab was potent. I mean, Jesus Christ. And he had power that left jab, too. He used to break a lot of guys down with that. A very good body puncher, too. Very, he wasn't quite fast on his feet, but he definitely knew how to cut off the ring against you. He utilized his reach and his range extremely well. So, yeah. Rosclot, what's going on, man? Rosclot says a good middleweight gets major props for beating a great small man, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. It's always been that way, Rosclot. It's been like that for centuries. And that's why I find it laughable that great middleweights get crapped on behalf of Triple G for fighting great small guys. And yet Triple G is doing the same fucking thing. This is the irony about this, let's see. Rosclot says that to Ambitious D, yep, plus B-Hop has a slow, boring starting style. Yeah. B-Hop was a notorious slow starter, very similar to Charlie Burley. Charlie Burley was a notorious slow starter himself, but for the most part, they were very, very cynical or analytical in the ring, where they were trying to study their opponents to figure out where their punches are coming from, what angles they're using, what the speed of those punches are coming, and they're going to time their footwork, time their punches. So once they figured all that out in the early rounds, they'll be able to get them out in the later rounds. That's how Hopkins was able to do it. And that's how Charlie Burley was able to do that to his opponents. So let's see. Uh, let's see. Who would Triple G beat to solidify himself as a great middleweight? That's a very good question, Kiwi. Very good question. Well, I mean, let's put it this way. Even though his competition wasn't that great, I mean, let's be honest, his middleweight ones competition wise was very, very poor. But that's not his fault. He was able to get through those guys. He did what he did, so he deserves major credit for that. So, in my opinion, he's already solidified himself as a great middleweight. But the question is that now he's already reached that plateau. Where do we rank him amongst the other great middleweights that came before him? In my opinion, he doesn't go near Hopkins. He doesn't go near Hagler. He doesn't go near Monzon. He doesn't go near Greb. He certainly doesn't. I mean, he doesn't go near Marshall, Robinson, Burley. Even Ezra Charles had a great, had a very good run as a middleweight. So I just don't. I just think he just doesn't have the wins to kind of. I mean, he may have done a little bit more work than those guys as far as beating the number of opponents. But if you look at the quality of opponents that those guys beat at middleweight, they're far better than the quality of opponents that Triple G has beaten. Far better quality. I mean, you got Harry again. I mentioned Harry Greb is like, it's very difficult for anybody to rate Triple G above those guys. It's very difficult. He just doesn't have the wins, and plus, he did maneuver around certain guys that too. So that I mean, that's the way it is. Because right now, you got good small guys coming up. You got Charlo, who came up from 154. Andre, who came up from 154. Then you got Saunders there. You got Deverchenko, or by the way, who he ducked, by the way. Let's just make this a matter of fact. He turned down the Billy Joe Saunders fight, a unification bout, undisputed championship fight. And now you got, like I said, you got Canelo fight. That's good, but his team has already hinted that they're kind of like at the tail end of it. They're going to just like get a couple more big money fights, and that's it. They're done. That's just the way it is. I mean, let's see. But let's see. Triple G just trying to look at both sides of Dan's arguments. Yeah, true. But Kell Brook, in my opinion, isn't a great welterweight. No, good. That's a good point, Ross Clot. Let's put it this way. At that I hate to say this, man, that Triple G win against Brook is not really looking that good. It's not, because Kell Brook's only big win was against Sean Porter. Yes. Sean Porter was a good win, but before that, his biggest win was against Lavachenko, who knocked out Ricky Hatton. I mean, over the hill Ricky Hatton, by the way, who got put down by Paulie Malignaggi. But then those two bouts with Carson Jones, when he almost got knocked out by Carson Jones in the first fight. I mean, this is a guy who barely scraped the guy against Sean Porter. Even though I felt he won that fight against Sean Porter, but some people felt that Sean Porter would have won it. I mean, should have won it close, but he barely survived that fight. He had a couple of hate to say, I know those are mandatory fights. I mean, Jojo Dan, and he had Kevin Bizier. Then he had a voluntary defense against Frankie Gavin. I mean that win it's not looking like a good win at this point. It's not. Even though at the time I did give Triple G credit for beating Brook, but right now it's like, let's just face it, it's just not looking like a good win. It's not. It's just not. It's just not happening. It's not looking like a good win. Let's just be honest. It's not. It's not. And let's just see here. The Texas says that half of Triple G's defenses were with the regular title. Yeah, we've been having a lot of back and forth about that regular title. And the one thing we question is legitimacy, this, that, and the third. Look, I know the whole Lennox Lewis theory that Lennox Lewis had came up with the concept that the WBA should create another title where another second-tier champion should clear out the mandatories before fighting the actual champion. So that was his idea. But the fact is that the regular title, Triple G didn't even win that regular title in Wing. He won the interim title, and then the next fight he got upgraded to be the regular champion. All right, that was against I think that was against Milton Nunes or Nelson Julio Tapia. It was one of those two. I have to go back and check. But the fact is that the regular title
Yes, the record book says, okay, you know, if you're a regular champion, you are a world champion. But the fact is that the legitimacy of that title is questioned because the WBA regular champion is not allowed to proceed with a unification bout against the other alphabet champions like the IBF and the WBO and the WBC. It's not allowed. In fact, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO doesn't even recognize that title. The only title they recognize is the super champion. So, I mean, Triple G, I know that Felix Sturm and Daniel Gill, they were swapping back and forth between the super title. I get that argument, but the fact is that Triple G didn't fight those guys. Yes, they, you know, Sturm refused to fight him, but the fact is, you know, the fact is that remains is that Triple G did not fight the champion, the WBA champion, to get that title, and he was elevated. So the regular title, to me, in my opinion, is like, how much weight does it hold? Because Hawkins and Hagler never fought in there where they had a regular title. They never did. They actually fought for all their belts and they beat the champions. Yes, Hawkins won his first title ring in a vacant fashion against Segundo Mercado, but the fact is he actually won that title in the ring against an opponent. Okay, Triple G was handed the WBA title. He was handed the WBC title. The only legitimate title that he won was the IBF title. That title was stripped from him because he refused to fight his mandatory. So now he's holding two belts that was handed to him. So that kind of looks bad, you know. Not saying that nobody, you know, fighters are not been never been held titles, have been handed titles before. I know the Lennox Lewis, I know the Kid Norton story, but the fact is that Kid Norton fought great fighters and beat great champions before he had handed the title to him. And the fact is that Lennox Lewis made up for that by reclaiming his title from the same man that beat him for that title was Oliver McCall. He beat Holyfield, he beat Tyson, he's beat all the other champions at heavyweight. He beat the Shannon Briggs of the world. He beat Vitaly Klitschko, a Hall of Famer, to go out on top. You know, so Lennox, you know, you can't really compare those two situations to how Triple G was handing those two titles. Let's be realistic. You got to put it in proper context. Okay. Now, Kiwi says that regular title needs to go. Yeah, you know what, Kiwi, the WBA actually planned to actually scrap that title. They were planning to consolidate the belts where they're going to have one Division One champion, but all of a sudden they rescinded from that plan. So there right there goes the idea of that WBA regular title being legit because the WBA were planning to get rid of it. They were planning to scrap that title, but they decided to keep it around. You know, let me see. Overhand says that Triple G can be the greatest of all time middleweight. In my opinion, if he cleans out the division, well, he could get up there, but the fact is that Hawkins cleaned out his division, Hagler cleaned out his division, so those two guys right there. I mean, it's hard to say who's the greatest middleweight of all time. I mean, they both did it. Robinson did it for the most part of his career. Harry Greb did it for for the most part. Monzon did it. So I don't know overhand. That's a very, very tough question. I mean, tough. I mean, there's other big middleweights who've done it other than Triple G who is going to do it. So I mean, I'm not sure about that now because he's refusing to fight his mandatories. I mean, did he clean out at the early part when those guys didn't come up? Yeah, he did. But now you got the other guys. He did fight Saunders. So, you know, he turned down that fight. He's refused to fight his mandatory. So I don't know. it's very, very complex for Triple G when it comes to his title run. When it comes to his title run compared to those guys. So Overhand says that it's a dangerous division with the top six guys can beat each other any night. Yeah, I agree. The Texas says that I'm scared that the IBO will be recognized soon because there's a lot of top fighters like her, Joshua, and Triple G holding that belt. You know what, Texan? The IBO was talked about being recognized when Pacquiao held that title for many years. And ever since he held that title and he held it proudly, it's they've been talking about that. And I hate to say it to you, man. Eventually, the IBO will be legitimized. It's going to be recognized, and for the most part, it is going to kind of a really, really, in my opinion, is going to make things far more complex for this in the state of boxing because instead of fighting four champions to be undisputed, now you got to fight five champions, and that's already tough as it is to get four champions to unify with each other. So why do we need another fifth title? I mean, it just makes things far more complex and far more political. Let's go IBO. The headquarters are here in Florida. Yeah, I know it's in Florida. So you got two U.S. sanctioned bodies, the IBO and the IBF. Well, could be recognized. So, yeah. Fight Channel Media, what's going on? He says, any idea why EJ Boxing Live and Charlie are beefing? Fight Channel. All I can say is that's between us, man. I know the situation, but I'm not going to disclose that. So that's between those two. I'm gonna let them handle it. That's all I gotta say, man. Kiwi Boxer said that they said it, and it all is all they did. Rascalot says the IBO is a non-important title. Yeah, at this point it is, but eventually it's gonna be recognized eventually. Watch. Kiwi says the regular title is making WBA money, so expected to keep saying they'll get rid of it, but it won't. Yeah, it is making the money because they're collecting huge sanction fees from that title. That's the whole point of it, So, Overhand says that I thought Eubank made the IBO popular. No, it wasn't Eubank. He may have made it popular in the UK, but Pacquiao, from a global standpoint, made that title. He made stream that title. So, yeah. The Texas says, man, the journey to undisputed continues. Yeah, man, it's going to be very, very, very tough road if the IBO does get recognized. A very tough road. Fight Channel Media says that Charlie went deep on EJ. Big threats to him. Yeah, like I said, Fight Channel, that's private. Like I said, that's an issue between all of us. I'm not going to disclose that. Like I said, for now, I'll let those two handle that situation between the two. But I'll leave it at that. Cruiserweight supremacy. Yeah, let's talk about that. Garcia versus Usyk. Now, for what I've been hearing, Usyk is willing to go ahead and accept that the fight will be placed in Russia. But I think depending on the territory of Russia, he wants it on some bit of a neutral territory in Russia. But he prefers still not to have it in Russia. So, me personally, whoever wins that fight should be pound for pound number one. Because here's the reason why I say that. Because Usyk is now in the top 10 pound for pound. He's ranked ninth in the world because the Ring Magazine updated their pound for pound list. I have no problem with that. Because if you look at Usyk, he's between him and Gassiev, they cleaned out cruiserweight. So the only thing left is that they have to fight each other. Whoever wins becomes pound for pound number one in my book. Because they're the undisputed champion, they're the lineal champion, and the fact is that one of them has cleaned out the division against each other. So they deserve that right. They deserve that honor. And I just want to see more people talk about that fight because that's a fight that's going to be very interesting. That's for the undisputed crown. We'll have a second undisputed champion in the last 2 years. So, but I hope it happens sooner rather than later, in my opinion. I hope it does. The Texas says I'm leaning towards Usyk for now. You know what, Texas? I'm looking 50-50 on that one because the way Usyk looks against Breedis, I don't know, man, because Gasser could actually take a page of what Breedis did because Breedis let Usyk get in and throw up his pity pat shots and then he countered with some straight rights, and Usyk was vulnerable to those rights. He was getting clipped pretty much throughout the fight by Breedis. So Gassiev could use that to his advantage and just counterpunch him pretty much all day and let him come forward and then counter with some body shots and counter with some straight rights. That's how he could beat Usyk. But Gassiev is slower than Breedis, though. He's slower compared to him. So Usyk should be able to box him in circles. But I'm still 50-50 on it. But as the fight does get progressed before it progressed down the line before fight night, I'll see who I'll favor towards at the end. Jaime Maguire versus Liam Smith. Who you got, Dan? I got Maguire to win that fight. Smith, I don't rate Liam Smith. He's just too. I don't know, man. Liam Smith to me is just too. He's just a one-dimensional fighter, and he's not that. I don't rate him. He's just not that good, in my opinion. I hate to say that. No, I mean no problem with Liam Smith, but I don't rate him that highly. Let me see. Ambition Steve said, man, I'm waiting for that fight. Yeah. It's coming in a month. Okay, so Gassiev and Usyk is coming next month. Great. As long as that he doesn't use up his shots early in the fight, Gassiev Starts out midway really good. Yeah, he is very dangerous in the middle of the fight. He can take a punch. He's got very, very, very good punch resistance. He's very good durability. So, uh, if Usyk doesn't burn himself out, try to get him out, that's going to be very dangerous for Usyk, and that will play into Gassiev's hands right there. So, Bellew versus the winner. Yeah, I think Bellew's going to wait for the winner because he's already hinted that. So, we'll see. Winner would be top three, pound for pound. Yeah, I mean, winner might be his pound for pound number one. His pound for pound number one. So I think that's what's gonna. That's the way I see it. Usyk beats Gassi if he'll definitely be pound for pound above Crawford. Yeah, Roscoe, I may have to agree with you on that one. And I'm a Terence Crawford fan, and I like Alexander Usyk too. I'm starting to become a fan of his as well, and so is Gassiev. So, uh, may the best man win. Whoever wins this definitely deserves pound for pound number one. And Gassiev actually beat the number one cruiserweight, Dennis Ledebev, and he was an underdog in that fight. So he beat him. So it took his title away from him. One of his titles, that is. So I think that's an argument that could be made. Rosklar says that Usyk has no power compared to the other cruiserweights, but he is very skilled. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. See, Usyk generates his power from his speed and his combinations because power does generate from speed, and that's what John Pascal always said. Which is true. So yeah, hard to say that because Crawford fought in three different divisions and became undisputed too. Yeah, you know what, Texan? That's a good point that can be made, but I'm looking at it from another criteria. And the criteria I'm losing is that, okay, yes, three divisions is great. Crawford did clean out one of them. But if you look at, he became undisputed. But if you look at Gassiev and Usyk, yes, they're fighting in one division. But if you look at the level of opposition that they fought, that level opposition is much more stiffer compared to the opposition that Crawford fought. And I'm a Terence Crawford fan. He did fought good competition at light welterweight. But if you compare that competition at light welterweight compared to cruiserweights, the cruiserweights are far dangerous compared to light welterweight. And between Gassiev and Usyk, they cleaned it out. I mean, those are very tough and durable guys down there. So whoever the winner is, in my opinion, is going to go above Crawford. And the way for Crawford to kind of overtake that number one spot, he's going to have to fight the Earl Spencers. He's got to fight the Keith Thurmans. He's going to have to fight, the Sean Porters. If Keith Thurman can get back, I don't know. In that situation, Danny Garcia still hanging around. Danny Garcia. So if he can beat those guys, he definitely is getting back up to, back into number one. So that's just my opinion, man. That's just my take on it. Because we all know pound for pound is very subjective. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be a rotation of who's going to be pound for pound number one this year, man, because we've seen a lot of that between Lomachenko and Crawford. Now, as far as Golovkin being pound for pound number one, I just can't understand how he's pound for pound number one. How do you get a controversial win against Danny Jacobs, a fight that some people felt that he lost, even though I'll give him credit for the win? And then you get a draw against Canelo Alvarez in your last fight, and you're pound for pound number one. That's very oddball to me. And somebody brought this to my attention. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And we all know that Golden Boy owns the Ring Magazine publication. And someone brought this to my attention, said, you know what, Dan? The reason why they probably have Golovkin pound for pound number one, and then he was awarded the pound for pound ring title, not the Ring Magazine title, but the pound for pound title. He was awarded that title. And the reason why the Ring Magazine is giving him that ranking is because they're trying to position Canelo to be pound for pound number one if Canelo beats him. So I thought about that. I was like, you know what? That probably could be the case. But again, I don't want to believe in conspiracy theories, but I don't know, man. What do you guys think about that? Is it that's possible why Golovkin is rated pound for pound number one and he was awarded that pound for pound title because of the fact that they're trying to position Canelo to be pound for pound number one if he beats him? That's probably a good point. Yeah, I'm about to get off pretty soon, guys. So dangerous champions at cruiserweight, absolutely. Texas 50-50 fight. Ross Class said Crawford could beat Spence. Let's debate. Man, we had the debate last week, bro. But if you want to have another debate on that, I'll let you on. the next couple weeks. So let me know, Ross Clot. So if you want to take Terrence Crawford, I'll get somebody to debate you against Earl Spence. How about that? Let me know. All right. Oh, Ambitious D. So you guys want to debate that right now? You and Ross Clot, if y'all want to get on right now, we can do it real quickly. Let me know. Let me see. Crawford is not taking those body shots. Yeah, I agree overhead. I agree. Crawford's not taking those. And plus Spence is not he's not a very fast-handed fighter. So he'll be able to time those body shots and he can control his range extremely well. And that's the reason why Spence and his people have been very, very, very cautious about the idea of fighting Terrence Crawford. They've been very cautious about that. And let's be realistic. And this is not a jab at Earl Spence. So please, Earl Spence fanatics, don't come at me. I like Earl Spence. I respect him. I rate him very highly. I just think that, in my opinion, based off the clash of styles, I just don't see him beating Terrence Crawford. It's going to be competitive, but I just don't see him beating him. I'm going to be real. Hey, all right, Kiwi. See you, brother. Peace, man. We'll see you next time, man. Thank you for coming in. Hey, what's going on, gangs? We're good, man. We're good. Ross Class said the MOBC is 49-0 debates. Here you go again with the MOBC. Let me see. That's not overhead says that's not a conspiracy there. Golden Boy's ready to put Canelo pound for pound number one the minute he beats somebody in the pound for pound rankings. Yeah, you know what? Like I said, man. You could be right, man. I'm not, yeah, I could be wrong for calling it conspiracy, but that's just the way it looks, man, because it looks so odd to me that Triple G's getting that number one ranking. And in fact, they gave him a pound for pound title, which to me doesn't make any sense, other than the fact that they're trying to position Canelo to be pound for pound number one if he beats him. So that to me is kind of where I'm leaning towards. But like I said, part of me believes it's a conspiracy, but then again, part of me says that it's not a conspiracy. It could be truth to that. All right. Hey, peace, Ross Cloud, man. Great having you in as always, man. Texas says, I'm barely leaning towards Spence for now, but he would have to jump on that shot quick. Yeah, I agree. But let's talk about the Gates pay. Is Triple G the lineal champion? No, I don't think he's a lineal champion. Let me check. He was given the pound for pound title. So let me see. I don't think he's a lineal champion. Let's see. No, I don't think he's a lineal champion. No, he's not lineal champion. He was given a pound for pound title. I don't know how much weight that title holds, but let me look it up, man, because that right there, let me see. He gets the ring number one pound for pound belt. So he was awarded the Ring Magazine pound for pound belt. So yeah, Canelo's still a lineal champion, but Triple G was given the ring championship, so he's got the Ring Magazine belt. And there's another belt that he didn't win in the ring. Wow. So they just handed him the belt. And again, one of my boys brought this up, said they're probably positioned Canelo to beat him to be pound number one. That's the reason why they gave him that belt. So I don't know. I don't know, man. So that's the whole spiel beyond that situation. Hey, I love Crawford, but Spence is another gear. He don't have to box when he can overpower the competition. Yeah, that's true, but we haven't seen how Spence can box against somebody like Crawford. So that's yet to be seen. So that's a pretty good point. The Texas says that the lineal should be vacant for now, in my opinion. You may have a little point there, Texas, but the fact is that Canelo's still the man until somebody beats him. Then that person becomes the man, as you want to call it, of the division, the recognized champion. So Canelo beat Martinez. No, Canelo never fought Sergio Martinez. Cotto beat Martinez, and then Canelo beat Cotto to become the man. So yeah. The same way they stripped Neary of the lineal status, so if I recall. So here's the thing. The Ring Magazine title is not exactly the lineal title. It's the Ring Magazine version of their lineal title, but it's actually not the lineal title. So the lineal championship is handed down based off the fact of a guy who's been recognized for being a certain level of top 10 or top 5 opposition, or the fact that they were able to unify against all the other champions. That's how the lineal gets pretty much assessed, handed down to a certain champion. But the fact is that the rules do change down the line to the point that we don't know. We get confused about the actual uh, stipulations and the requirements of you becoming of you as a fighter to become the lineal champion. So uh, technically, some will argue that number one versus number two should be the case, but that is not really stated in the rule book. But again, the thing is that this whole thing about the lineal championship argument, how it's being handed down to, it's very complex because the rules, like again, I have to repeat myself, the rules changes all the time. So yeah. So Neri was a Ring Magazine champion, but he was not the lineal champion. He did beat the number one guy and Suzuki Yamanaka, but he was not the lineal champion. He was a ring champion, which is their version of the lineal title. So it is what it is. The welterweights and super welterweights lineal title should be vacant. Well, we don't have a lineal title. It's there. We don't even have a super welterweight title. Lineal titles there either. So they're both vacant. Yeah, since Floyd retired, there hasn't been a lineal champion there in those two divisions, and that's been almost 3 years now. Wow, it's been 3 years, and we hope that all these champions will start fighting each other, but it seems like they're not because they're so afraid to protect their O. They're willing to go do loops and obstacles to do it. And Keith Thurman, and I'm very disappointed in Keith Thurman because he was the guy who said, "I'm not afraid to lose my O." Then all of a sudden, when he was in the position to become the number one guy in the division, get all these big money fights, he's now all of a sudden being very, very cynical. He's being very calculating. He started to be like, okay, I'll fight on my own terms, just like Floyd Mayweather did. But let's be realistic. He's not on the caliber of Floyd Mayweather. I mean, yes, he is in a position to a certain degree, but damn, everybody feels like they're like Floyd all of a sudden. Where then they're in the position to get big money fights. They can do what the hell they want. They can fight whoever. They can fight a bum and still make $4 or $5 million a fight. That's fucking crazy, you know? So I'm very disappointed in Thurman, man. He's really let me down. And it seems like he's not really interested in the fight in the sport anymore because he's still got his health faculties. He's married a beautiful woman from Nepal. He's enjoyed his life. He's got millions in the bank. He's invested his money. So he's probably at the point of his career is like, I really don't support a boxer. I'm gonna just go off doing other things. And could he retire? It would surprise me if he announced his retirement now. So we'll see. I hope not, but we'll see. What division has a lineal? Adonis Stevenson is the lineal champion light heavyweight. Who else is? I think there's another division. Let me look it up. We know Stevenson is. Crawford was at light. Crawford was at light welterweight. Then Mikey Garcia was. He became the lineal champion after he beat Lipinets, so now that got vacated. So the current lineal champions. Let me see. I think Stevenson's the only one. Let me take a look. He's the only one. Let me see. The lineal champion. Okay. Here we go. The cruiserweight vacant, Stevenson light heavyweight. Well, Mikey Garcia is still listed as the lineal light welterweight champion, but that should be vacated right now. So why I don't know. Oh, Rigondeaux. There you go. Guillermo Rigondeaux still the super bantamweight lineal champion. So theoretically, there's only two lineal champions in the mid boxing. You have Rigondeaux and you have Stevenson. Those are the only two. Lomachenko is not the lineal champion. He's the Ring Magazine champion, but he's not the lineal champion. So, yeah. The Texas says that I'm surprised that the WBA hasn't acted on Keith Thurman yet. Yeah, you know what? That's surprising too because the WBA had an old rule, like they penalized Marvin Hagler for doing, is that if you don't fight our sanctioned WBA rated contender within a year, we're going to strip you. And they haven't done that with Thurman. So that's very surprising because they did that to Hagler when Hagler was trying to fight Leonard. So I don't get why. I'm not sure if that rule, I think that rule actually doesn't exist anymore. So they'll assess it. They'll go ahead and enforce it under their discretion, just like any other sanctioned body would do when it comes to their rules. But the fact is that yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think Thurman should be stripped. I'm sorry, man. I like Keith Thurman, but he needs to be stripped since he's not being active, and there's no signs of him fighting anybody anytime soon. So the WBA needs to strip him too and make that title vacant, in my opinion. Yeah. So Don Stevenson is the lineal light heavyweight champion. Gilbert Rigondeaux is the lineal super bantamweight champion. And Mikey Garcia is still listed as the lineal light welterweight champion, even though he's not fighting that division. So that's very odd, right there. Very odd. Very odd. So yeah. So out of the how many divisions we got? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, so out of all the divisions, man. Out of all the divisions, we only got 2 lineal champs. I forgot. So ring beside Sarisa Cat actually is a lineal champion at super flyweight. So yeah, he's a lineal champion right now. We got 3 lineal champions. So we got Sarisa Cat at super flyweight. We got Gilman Reagan now at super bantamweight. We got Adonis Stevenson light heavyweight. So there's 3 lineal champions that we have right now. Now, as far as Mikey Garcia, yes, I don't know why he's still rated as a lineal champion, but I guess we could call him the 4th one, but he's not fighting light welterweight, so that doesn't make any sense. So yes, in on the record books, we have 4 lineal champions. Well, he's already a champion recess for the WBC anyway, so they might as well get rid of the WBA from Keith. Yeah. Also, they made him champion recess Texan, so basically when he comes back, he gets a shot at the champion. Is that the way it works? The champion emeritus? That's what they done for him? Okay. I did not know that, but it is what it is. Well, you know what? Let me switch gears a bit because I've been drawing this out too long. Let's talk about the UK boxing card real quickly. Kiwi's here. He asked me about the Josh Taylor fight. I didn't really get into it, and Victor Paul Styles. So let's get into it real quickly. Very good UK card. You had Josh Taylor versus Victor Paul Styles. That was a very, very, very good fight. A very close fight. Could have gone either way, but in my opinion, Victor Paul Styles won that fight. I could see that Josh Taylor won that fight, but those scorecards, in my opinion, were a bit way too wide, in my opinion. I'm gonna look at the scorecards again because those scorecards were very shocking to me. I mean, a bit too wide. They were way too wide, I should say. I mean, 118 to 110, 117 to 110, and 119 to 108. I mean, this was a terrible scorecard. I mean, 117 to 110 and 118, 110. I mean, where was the point? Did Postal get a point deducted? Yeah, well, actually, he got knocked out. Okay, yeah, he got knocked out. Okay, he got knocked out. He got back up. But the fact is that yeah, those cards was man, that was atrocious, very atrocious. I don't know, man. I mean, that was definitely hotel cooking right there. Close fight, could have gone either way. But if you want to talk about robbery, yeah, that's a robbery from that perspective of the scorecards. But it was still a close fight. You could have gave it to Josh Taylor. I have no problem with that. But at least 7 rounds of 5, but not no fucking, 10 rounds of 2, 9 rounds of 3. There was no fucking way at all. I thought, in my opinion, despite it was a close fight, I thought Victor Pascal won it by one point. In my opinion, I thought he won it by a point. But I mean, it is what it is. That's just my opinion. But that scorecard was terrible. Terrible, man. Terrible. I mean, seriously, if anybody believes that Josh Taylor won that fight easily, then y'all need to get off that Sherm, man. I'm sorry to say that. Get off that crack cocaine because I didn't see how Josh Taylor dominated that fight. He barely scrapped by Postal. He was in a very, very tough fight. His facial expression will tell you that. He knew he was in a very tough fight against. We expected that because that was a very, very seasoned pro, a former world champion, Victor Postal, a very, very dangerous light welterweight. So, pretty dangerous light welterweight. So that was a very, very difficult fight for Josh Taylor. But credits to him. I can see him winning that fight by 1 round, which is 3 points. But in my opinion, I thought he lost that fight by 1 point. But again, the scorecards are way too fucking wide. That's just unbelievable. That was horrible scoring right there. Horrible. Which some people probably predicted anyway, because that was Josh Taylor's backyard. So it is what it is. Uh, Overhead says there should be a judge who came to see if they're not sleeping during the fights. And you know what, Texas, somebody, Paul Malignaggi said this at best too. When the judges were scoring the Canelo versus Austin Trout fight 5 years ago, one judge had it wide for Canelo, even though some people argued that it was a closer fight. Some people felt that Austin Trout won that fight. One of the judges already had up to round 10 that Canelo's winning by a wide margin. And Paulie Malignaggi is like, well, I don't know if that judge is sleeping, but if that's the case, you might as well take a bathroom break and not forget about scoring the other 2 rounds, because that judge already made it clear that Canelo won the fight. So it is what it is on that. I mean, predictably horrible score. We all knew that. But again, Josh Taylor, I could see him win that fight, but I thought he lost it by a point. But Vic, no way in hell that he lost it. He won that fight by a wide margin. No way in hell. I mean, Ambitious D says Postal is basic, but damn, not like that. Well, you know what, Ambitious D, I never thought that Victor Postal was a basic fighter. Yes, he's flat-footed. He may be slower-footed, but I don't always think he was that basic. I thought he was very, very good technically. He put his punches together. He's very, very rangy. He's very long. He has very long reach. He uses his size very well. He uses his height extremely well. So I always never thought he was that basic, to be honest with you. So it'll be a very good fight. Hats off to both fighters. Now Josh Taylor is the interim champion, so he'll be the mandatory challenger to Jose Ramirez for the WBC title. So we'll see. But while I've been here, I think Josh Taylor is going to be in the WBSS now. So that'll be interesting. So we'll see how he matches up against Prograis. That'd be a damn good fight. Prograis versus Josh Taylor. I would want to see that fight. Damn good fight. Then you got Relic against Triavosky. Then you got Roy Zucker in the tournament now. So yeah, man, things are looking good for the WBSS. You got 3 champions in there that's going to be fighting, or 3 titles that's going to be on the line in the WBSS, except for the WBC, which is very disappointing. Which is not surprising because Top Rank has not really been putting their fighters in these tournaments. They like to keep their fights in house all the goddamn time, which is very, very disturbing for Bob. I mean, I just don't like that Bob Arum always doing that, but it is what it is. Now let's go to the other stuff. Tony Yoka knocking out Dave Allen in the 10th round. Pretty good win. That's a decent win for Yoka. He's up and coming too. Olympic gold medalist. I mean, him and Joe Joyce, they both moving their careers very quickly, obviously because they're in their early 30s, so they have to. I think Tony Yoka's in his 20s. I could be wrong. Let me check. I thought it was Tony Yoka. Tony Yoka is 20. Actually, he's 26. Okay, so he's 6 years younger than Joe Joyce, but they're still kind of moving him quickly now that they put him in there against Dave Allen. Joe Joyce is obviously moving a lot faster than Tony Yoka, but I definitely want to see that heavyweight clash between 2 high-level prospects, Yoka versus Joyce. I think that would be a damn good fight. But if I were to pick a winner, I might go with Joyce. I mean, but it's 50-50 because I think Yoka is a little bit better skillfully than Joyce. I think he's much better on his feet than Joyce. He moves a lot better in his ring than Joyce. So I don't know, but that's a damn good fight. Yeah, so Tony Yoka with the win over Dave Allen TKO. I think it was 10th round TKO, I believe. Yeah, it was a 10th round TKO. Then you have Ahari Davies versus Paul Kaminga. Blew him out in the second round, or third round, I believe, but that was a horrible knockout. Jesus Christ. The thing about Ahari Davies is that this dude got incredibly long arms. I mean, his arms is freaking long. I mean, I think they're longer than Victor Postal and Julius Adongo. I mean, his arms are incredibly long for a fucking light welterweight. And Davies, think about Ahari Davies, he's actually learned a lot from that Josh Taylor loss. He's gotten a lot better technically. He started to utilize his reach a lot better. He started to be more patient. He started to show more combination punching, especially from the counter shots. He started to counter punch extremely well. Davis has gotten better and better. He's gotten better. He's starting to become more mature. I know he's got a YouTube channel now. He dyed his hair. Of course, Eddie Hearn taught him to do that, but it is what it is. Well, taught him into that, I should say. Talked him into it. I mean, so um, yeah, I think Davis has gotten better, man. He's gotten better. He'll get better. He's fighting better competition from a domestic level standpoint. Now he's starting to get slowly creep into the world level. World level stages at 140. So yeah, I think that he's continued his career. He's starting to look better and better after that loss. And there's always a saying that you become a much better fighter after you take your first loss. I know taking a loss is very discouraging and it affects you psychologically as a fighter, but it's a fight game. There's winners and there's always losers. So you can always come back from a loss. And I think that uh, Hard Davis has been obviously. We all know we can all agree is a much better fighter now after that Josh Taylor loss. He's not wild. He doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't always sit on his punches a lot. He picks the shots off a lot better now. So yeah, very good improvement adjustment for Hard Davies. Uh, yeah, ever since that loss. Um, let's see here. The Texas says that 175 would be perfect, but it'd be pretty conflicting considering the whole situation with the promoters there. I'll be afraid it'll be more like the 168 WBSS. You know what? I favored that the WBSS be at light heavyweight, especially at heavyweight. I think it needs to happen down there. Of course, the money is part, and like you said, the promoters are going to be a big problem with that situation. But I think the WBSS need to get to heavyweight. But they did say they're eventually going to move it to heavyweight. They are talking about that. I saw an interview with the Sarlins. They were implementing that type of plan and strategy. But if they do that, then I will be like, yes, definitely that's a shot at the arm that boxing needs. A WBSS style tournament where you have all the champions. Well, you only got two champions there. You got Wilder and Joshua. If they both compete in that tournament, they clear out all the heavyweights that's in there. There are only two left, and then we have the unification bout right there. I think the WBSS need to go to heavyweight. And like you said, the Texan, as far as light heavyweight, great idea, but it could be a promotional conflicts there, just like it would be a heavyweight. Yeah, I would love it to see it happen at heavyweight. I mean, anybody. I know a lot of people are begging, not begging, are really trying to get the Joshua and the Wilder fight to happen, even though it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. But what should happen is that if you want a greater chance of making that fight happen, the WBSS, the Sarlins need to get together with Schaefer and start implementing that tournament for the heavyweights. I mean, like now, make it happen now. So that way the champions can get in. There's a $50 million pot right there that either fighter, either heavyweight could win, get in the tournament, and bam, there's a great chance that unification can happen if they fight each other. Because look how the Gassiev and the Usyk fight start to come about. We never thought that fight would ever be made. In fact, that without the WBSS, we didn't think that all the cruiserweight champions would be fighting each other, and they did. And look what we got now. We got an undisputed showdown. So I think the WBSS need to get to heavyweight. It needs to. I think that has to happen next. I would love to see that light heavyweight too, but I think it has to happen at heavyweight first, in my opinion. So again, very good boxing card for the UK by Frank Warren. He put it up. Now, as far as who else we got here, the Texas says that besides the zone has a deal with Hearn and the WBSS, that's a deadly combination, including a heavyweight tournament. Oh yeah, I agree. That's a damn good combination, man. Very good combination. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. I'm going into my Gmail account. Yeah, man. Look, a lot of good things happening in boxing right now. This has been a very good year, despite all the debate and the vitriol. It's looking a lot better than 2017. We all could agree with that. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, man. I'm definitely enjoying boxing, man. I'm definitely enjoying this year. I definitely think it's more to come because we got a half a year left, so it's more things to come. So we'll see. Yeah, so very good but good weekend of boxing, despite we didn't have a U.S. card over the weekend, but we did have one with Carissa Shields, Hannah Gabriel's very good women's card. I'm surprised that most people are not talking about it. I mean, some of the guys are talking about it, which is great. But I mean, this is boxing. I think we all need to support women's boxing. I know some guys don't like it. That's fine. That's their prerogative. But there's a lot of great fights there. Again, I have to give a shout out to the Ring IQ for showcasing the women's boxing more often on his platform than anyone else. So shout out to him. But yeah, other than that, Anthony Yard. What can I say about Anthony Yard, Darius Zeus? Well, it went as we all expected. Yard looks good against a very limited fighter in Darius Zeus. In all fairness, Darius Zeus, even though he did fight the best competition over in Poland, he's never been knocked out. He's never been stopped in his career, obviously. He's never been knocked down until he got knocked down in the first round by Yard. I mean, he took a heavy shot to the temple, too, and he didn't seem like he got hurt by that. He wasn't bothered by that, so he got back up. And he seemed to have his legs back, and he resumed back to business, but he was just technically flawed. I mean, he was very limited. Couldn't hurt Yard. Couldn't get his respect at all. And Yard looked, even though his competition has been very, very poor, even though it going into 16 fights, because at this stage, he should be fighting domestic level opposition. I know that's another story. But the fact is that Anthony Yard, in my opinion, he's got better and better. He's starting to show that he can slip in between punches. He can be more elusive. He's starting to become better defensively. He started to put his hands up. So starting to see some improvements in Anthony Yard. And, of course, his shot placements are better. I mean, he's always been there. He's always had the balance. He's always had the technique. It is, to me, he lacked the defense a bit, but he's gotten better at his defense. And all I can say is that Zeus got a hell of a chin because he took some heavy bombs by Anthony Yard. Heavy bombs by Yard. And Yard was starting to lose a bit of steam in the first half of the fight. I mean, to the fifth round because he started to lose some bit of stamina. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with his bulky physique because that dude looks huge for a fucking light heavyweight. Huge. And I'm not sure how long he could make that weight because he looked like he was around 195, in my opinion. But I mean, it is I gotta say a progressing level type of fight. Now Jose Burton took it to Twitter and said that I can't understand how anybody rate Anthony Yard is beyond me. I'll knock this guy out. So Jose Burton really wants that fight. He definitely wants that fight. And I think that's a fight that Warren needs to make, man. They need to stop pussyfooting around with all these domestic level opposition. Okay, if you're not gonna fight Joshua Buatsi, then you gotta fight Jose Burton. Okay, if you're not gonna fight Jose Burton, then you gotta fight Ricky Summers, even though I think he fought recently and lost. So I don't know. You got to do something. You got to step up on your level of competition, Anthony. I mean, seriously, you got to do it because there's a lot of people watching you. You can't get away with this for long. I know your trainer is very, very not too adamant about putting you in there against domestic level opposition. I think he's trying to milk, in my opinion, Tony Jaredot. I can't even pronounce his name. I'm sorry. Forgive me. But to me, I think he's trying to milk the Anthony Yard phenomenon, in my opinion. Because he hasn't really made much money as a trader, so he sees that's his cash cow right there. He doesn't want to rush him too soon. But the fact is that how long can you get away with that? That's the thing, and I don't think he could get away with that for much longer. I think after the Darius Zeus fight, I think Anthony Yard needs to step up now. It's about the time he got to step up. He has to. All right, so other than that, the last thing I want to talk about before I get off here, guys, one more thing I want to talk about is Deontay Wilder versus I wanted to chime in a bit on that Deontay Wilder interview with Michelle Joy Phelps behind the gloves. Now, I see the interview and he made some interesting points, and some points I agree with, but one of the points I do kind of have to take exception to is the fact that he said that Anthony Joshua wants that $50 million fight. He wants the $50 million. But then again, he also says that Joshua was afraid to fight me. Now, I think that's a bit of a contradiction there on Deontay when he said that, because here's the thing. I disagree with him that I think Anthony Joshua I disagree with that notion that Anthony Joshua was afraid of Deontay Wilder. I don't think Anthony Joshua is afraid of Deontay Wilder by the slightest. I don't believe that at all. Okay? And let's be realistic. As much as I like Deontay Wilder, he is my heavyweight. He is my guy. But the fact is that I got to be real. Anthony Joshua has a better resume. He's fought better competition than Wilder in lesser fights. Let's be real. There's no other way of sugarcoating that. There is no way. Of course, you can say that Anthony Joshua did duck Luis Ortiz and Wilder fought Ortiz and beat him. Okay, fine, fair enough. But at the same time, that still doesn't. It may close the gap a bit, but as far as the resume comparison, as far as the competition wise, Anthony Joshua's fought better competition. It beat better competition. That is a fact. Okay, there's no way of sugarcoating that. But the fact is that I believe that Anthony Joshua wants that fight, and I think he's at odds with his promotional company with Eddie and Barry Hearn. And the reason why I say that is because I think that Barry Hearn, along with some other outside sources, and Roy Jones and Teddy Atlas, they don't believe that Anthony Joshua could beat Deontay Wilder at this point. They don't believe in him that he could do it. So that's why they're asking him to put that fight off at least for another year. Because I think they're waiting for Wilder to slow down, in my opinion. I believe that because why else would they say that he needs to wait another year to make that fight? I don't think they believe he could beat him. Because if this is an opponent that they believe they could beat, they would jump on it right away. They would make that fight. No questions asked. I think Joshua wants that fight, but his team doesn't want it right now because they don't believe he can beat Wilder. That's just my opinion because of their attitude and their contradictions. In all fairness, Wilder has contradicted himself as well. At first, he says it's not about the money. Then again, he's arguing about money. Then Anthony Joshua says it's not about the money. Well, it's about the money. Give me $50 million. I'll take the fight. He was offered the $50 million, which is a legit offer. He doesn't take the fight. Then he comes back and says it's not about the money. It's about having a fight in the UK. I'm taking a pay cut to get Wilder to come over there. Then Wilder's accepts the terms. And now they're saying that Wilder's not getting this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, how can you say it's about the money, then turn around and say it's not about the money, and then you say it's about the money, Anthony? So I'm going to call it as it is, man. There's contradictions on both sides, but there's more so on the Joshua side. And again, I think Anthony Joshua wants that fight, and I believe that he does. It's just that his team does not want that fight right now. They want him. I think they wait for Wilder to slow down. They wait for him to slow down. They don't believe they can beat him at this point. They don't believe it. I mean, the Povetkin fight, I think they believe they're more confident he'll beat Povetkin. They believe he can at this point, but not Wilder. I don't think they believe it at this point. So that's just my take on it. And that's why I stress that. What's going on, Mike? Mike says that sometime down the line, I would like to see a fight between Yard and Buatsi. I mean, that's a very good UK domestic level fight. I mean, that would be a very, very entertaining fight. But Yard's team is not really going to push that fight right now. They're going to be very, very calculating towards Anthony Yard's career. They're managing him very, very, very carefully. And I don't know why. Maybe there's some flaws in Yard that they see that we don't know. Buatsi, on the other hand, is very skilled and he's proven to be very formidable on domestic level on the UK side so far. So if I would have to favor anyone to win that fight, I don't know. I think still 50-50 fight, but we'll see how Joshua Buatsi performs in his next fight. So we'll see. But other than that, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder saga continues. They're not fighting anytime soon. I mean, this whole thing with this whole contract situation, the Wilder teams accept the terms. The Eddie Hearn sends the contract over to them. The Eddie Hearn comes out and says, let's see if they really serious, if they accept the terms. And then, I mean, what really? And then he comes out and says that I'm not gonna have my guy prepare to fight 8 weeks, this, that, and the third. But wait a minute, I thought your guy when they caught him in the gym training about maybe a few weeks ago, I believe, 4 or 5 weeks ago. Then he said that he was training for a Deontay Wilder fight. I mean, Jesus Christ. In fact, Shelly Finkel was like, well, wait a minute, hold up. How can you say that we took it so long to accept the offer? Your guy, your father flew over to see us and meet with us. He came back. We accepted the terms, and now you're saying we're taking too long. I mean, I don't know, man. Eddie. You know what? Somebody brought this to my attention too, and I saw this on Hatman's video. Another thing that came to my attention, which I did not know, is that Anthony Joshua has yet to resign with Matchroom. They haven't even announced that he's resigned with them. So there's must be some situation going on there that they're really working hard to keep Anthony Joshua on board, because if they lose him, Matchroom is pretty much in a financial parallel situation. I'm not saying that they're going away, but say that puts them in a bad financial spot because that's their only cash out that they got. They have no other fighters. I mean, Kell Brook, yeah, but and they got Mir Khan, but let's be honest, their star power has kind of declined over the years. So the only one you got left is Anthony Joshua, and they really need him financially. They need him. If he doesn't, because Anthony Joshua is pretty much in the position, and I agree with Hatman on this one. He's in the position right now that he doesn't have to resign with Matchroom. He can sign with another promoter. He can come to the States if he wants to, which I doubt that will ever happen. If he does come to the States and sign with a Heyman back promoter, that will really, really shock the boxing world if he does that. Okay. Or he could go branch off and become his own promoter, which he's been doing now. He's been promoting his own cards, his own events. If he does that, then Matchroom really doesn't have any financial resource. I mean, they don't have a big financial cash cow if they lose him. But he's in a position to do that, and they're afraid of that, and they probably need a little bit of time to negotiate his contract before they announce any other fights. So that's probably what's going on here. It's been almost 2 or 3 months now since they announced that he's prepared to sign a 3-year, 100 million pound deal, and he hasn't signed that deal yet. So what's taking so long? What's going on here? So there's that points to indication that he's at odds with with Matchroom. There has to be something internally. There's something internally wrong in that situation, which we don't know about, which is why he hasn't yet to sign that deal. Why there's contradictions of what he says compared to what his management team says or his promotional team says. So there's contradictions not only with the camp itself, but there's contradictions within the camp. So they're not on the same page when it comes to communication. So that's what's odd about this. Even though Wilder team, they've been contradicting themselves, but at least they've been on the same page when it comes to communication. They have. So I don't know, man. All I know is just get the fight done. So I mean, just get it done, and then everybody could just end all this hoopla, this back and forth about this whole situation. It is what it is. That's just my take on it. I felt that Deontay wanted to make some good points in that interview, but again, I disagree with him about the fact that Anthony Joshua is afraid of him. I don't think Anthony Joshua is afraid of that guy 1 second. I think Joshua wants that fight. It's just that his team, his management team, does not want him to take that fight right now. They don't believe he can beat him at this point. They don't. And also given to the fact that they may be in a situation where they're trying to work to get him re-signed, which is they're having a tough time doing at this point. So, yeah, that's the issue. I think Joshua has one more fight left on his Matchroom contract too. So, I believe that's the case. I could be wrong. You guys let me know in the comment section as soon as I close this video out. So, other than that, I am going to close it out. Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank all my commenters. I decided to do this hangout solo this time. I didn't want anybody to join me this time, so I just wanted to do it solo. I have to repeat myself. So it's good to be back, doing some more uploads. So anyhow, I am out. Peace.